Today's topic is healing relationships through the practice of yoga. You know, we talk about nonviolence, we talk about truthfulness, we talk about all these great values that should give us peace in our lives. And many times we can talk about it, but there's no peace in our lives. So what are we doing wrong? And what is the right medicine to heal ourselves and to heal the broken relationships in our lives? Sometimes there are some relationships that are just not meant to be. And that is also what we will be talking about tonight. Sometimes there's things that people want something to work and they're not going to work. So there's a huge element of acceptance in our life. How do you deal with the pain when you love someone and they don't want to love you back? How do you deal with it, you know? The sutras cover this beautifully by bringing in Sri Patanjali, he talks about accepting pain for purification. What does that mean? You know, when you try your best and things don't work out the way you expect them to, the next stop is acceptance, right? Can you do anything about it? In the face of death, for example. Right? You can hit against the wall, you can cry, you can say, why me, and why so young, and why this, and why that, and you can scream, and you can shout, and you can blame the entire world, and you can look back in your past and what did I do wrong, or what did I do right, you know? And you'll never get the answer because the person is gone. It's gone, he's gone or she's gone, and they're gone. So really, for yoga practitioners, the most important thing is accepting immediately, this is the way it is. You know, we cannot control life. The more you try to control people or control relationships and control life, the more you suffer. You just cannot control anything. What you can do is learn to accept and love. So let's start with some of these points that I've written out in my many years of working with couples and relationships, mother-daughter, father-son, son-mother, all the different type of relationships, siblings. I have seen what causes pain in these relationships and what the medicine is. So we'll start with the first one, selfishness. Okay, when a person comes to me, how do I know there is selfishness? Because really, when a person comes to you, they're in pain, right? And they're going to say, you know, my marriage is not working well, or my relationship with my mom is not well, right? And it will be, he did this to me, or she did this to me, or that one did this to me, and the whole time they're with me, they're going to tell me about what somebody else did to them. And the simple question I ask is, and what do you do? What do you do? Oh, when they do this, I just, you know, I get so angry. I'm not asking you how you defend yourself. I'm asking you, what do you do? You are thinking all the time, this is what I want from the relationship. You are thinking, I. But have you asked yourself, what have you done for the other person? That you expect the other person to do everything for you. Oh, but you don't know, Nalanie, for example, you know, my mother, when I was young, this is one of the examples. Every time you don't look good enough, you're not pretty enough, always putting me down. And every time I go back home and visit her, it's the first thing she'll say is, oh, I don't like the way you've done your hair, or I cook better than you. You better learn how to cook. You know, there's some mothers like that, quite a lot, by the way. I was quite surprised to find that one out. And it's a kind of jealousy towards their sibling, and sometimes it isn't. So I said, what do you do when your mother tells you that? So my back goes up, I get upset, and I'm thinking, why have I bothered to come home to see my mom? I said, because you love her. You absolutely love her. I don't know whether I love her or I'm just feeling a sense of obligation. So I say, okay, change to Chip. Next time she tells you you don't look good enough, instead of being defensive, say, Mom, how do you think I should do my hair that I would look nice? What's your opinion? Oh, Mom, is it true? I know you love me so much, you just want me to look my best. And see how she reacts. Do you know, you would be so surprised. All of the people that I have seen, I'm talking about a few hundred now, when they apply this technique, I'm not talking a day or two, I'm talking about a whole holiday while they're there, because the mother will push and push and push before the behavior is changed. Because they're used to this pattern. It's a pattern. And it's really, the pattern is selfish. So when we are thinking of defending ourselves with somebody we love, we're actually going into war with them. Do you see? Because I expect my mother to behave this way. I expect my husband to behave this way. I expect my wife to be this way. The moment you expect, you are kind of demanding and asking. It's what I want. Subtly, the other partner knows this. They feel it. They feel it's all about what you want and not what's right for them too. Do you see? It's a subtle selfishness. It's so subtle that people miss it. So, what do? Behave in a selfless manner. Oh, I wonder what kind of complexes my mother must have had to become so hard on me. I wonder what she went through in her life that she's always picking on me this way. What kind of pains, or whoever it is, your husband, whatever, why do they have this need to put me down to make themselves feel better? And then when you start to think selflessly, not about how they should treat you, but what's going on in them. What's going on in them that's making them suffer and having to do these horrible things. And then you show them compassion. You can really change a person. Compassion, total compassion. And you will find that the whole relationship, like I said, I have seen so many in the past years, when people actually let go of the argument and just accept, the relationship changes. And it's great to see, because recently, I had quite a few people who didn't get along with their mothers or their fathers or whatever, and when they started to study healing relationships through yoga, over the years, really studying Patanjali, he's got all the answers right there, Sri Patanjali, the science of yoga. And when they've done it and they've gone home, they've made peace with their parents. Maybe they haven't. One woman hadn't seen her mother for 7 years, and she took the plunge and said, Nalanie, I'm going to go home and I'm going to let go. And she went home and she made peace. And guess what? 3 months later, her mom died. So she was so grateful that she had made the peace, because to live without closure, good or bad, is really very hard for any of us to live with. And it's not one, it's quite a few that have done that. And then of course, this is the value of the science of the practice. Don't expect people to change for you, change for them. That's the selfless attitude. You see, we always want everybody to change for us. Yes, of course it's harder. Of course it's harder to do. It means more sacrificing of your own feelings, sacrificing of your own emotions. But yeah, where are your own emotions getting you anyway? In pain. It's ego. Do you see? It's a sense of selfish pride. Why should I be nice when they're always putting me down? But at the end of the day, like I always say, we all end up in a box in a coffin and we're all going to die, So what is the point of keeping this animosity, this pain, So fix it. And sometimes the person may not change, but you will change inside, because there'll be a sense of peace that you did your best. So, haven't been able to change the other person, doesn't matter. But I am not looking at this person, this relationship with anger, with fear, with resentment, with, I'm going to attack you back. I'm just saying, what can I do? This is the way she is, or this is the way he is. And instead give love, all right? And that's hard. That's really very, very easy for me to talk about. This is why the practice of acceptance is really very important. And Sri Patanjali tells us, accepting pain for purification. I'm going through this pain because I'm purifying myself. Why? What are you purifying? Your mental state. Because what gets you in trouble all the time? Your mind. Your ego. That gets you in trouble all the time. It's the mind stuff. Yeah, but I should. Yeah, well, who really cares? These kind of issues are not important enough to spend your whole lifetime being miserable. You want to be miserable? Be miserable for a great cause that's going to help the whole world. And this is just you and this person, and an entire lifetime is wasted in thinking like that. Let it go, okay? And accept the pain. The pain is there to teach you that we are much more than what we are. You see, attachment is one of the biggest problems we have on this earth. Sri Patanjali tells us, if you really want to feel the divine within or the light within, you really want to get in touch, you have to let go. Even Lord Jesus in the Bible says, in the end, you'll hate your mom, you'll hate your father, your brothers and sisters. What did he mean when he said that? He didn't mean hate. Somebody just wrote that down. So in the end, nobody belongs to you. People will hurt you to such a degree in your life, the closest ones, really, to make you realize that nothing is yours. You finally let go in that pain. And when you let go of the people you're closest to and the pain they have caused you, there's a shift in consciousness. There's a real shift. Because you really feel so let down and so hurt and so much in pain that you feel, you know what? I'm not going to go there anymore. I'm just going to accept. I'm going to accept. And I'm going to learn more about this divine inside of me. So your attention, rather than going out towards these people who have caused you pain or the relationships that have caused you pain, your attention will change to something better, something greater, something more meaningful. And that's when you'll start your search for the real yoga, which is the divine within you, the real light within you, the one that lives in all. Because then you'll say, this world is really a cosmic joke and a dream. It really is. Even though it feels so real, it's not going to be real for eternity. It's only going to be real for my lifetime. So I want something that's more meaningful, more deep, more a relationship that will be with me forever, a relationship of love. And call that relationship, falling in love with your own spirit or God or Jesus or Swami Satchidananda or Guru. It doesn't matter, or trees, but falling in love with life, consciousness. Because if you don't, accepting pain for purification some people cannot do it. They find it very hard and they turn bitter. And that's not the idea. It's not to turn bitter. So what do you have to do? You have to take that pain and transform it into love. How do you do that? And this is where all the yogis come in and the teaching comes in. Serve, love, give. So you start to inject this love, and maybe for the betterment of others, for the betterment of the world. Maybe you couldn't help your family, but my God, you have the whole world as your family. And this is the transition to personal selfish relationships, to general worldly relationships. And when you lose the attachment, what happens? There's a freedom. But isn't it sad, and isn't it just the truth, that one has to go through a lot of pain before one realizes this? It'd be much easier. We learned all this at school when we were young, and every time somebody hurt us, we could just let it go easily. But we have to go through a lifetime of pain before we learn. But I'm hoping the next generation will be much more blessed, and younger people and are more into looking after our earth now. Younger people are much more into stop the wars. They're not so much into materialism as our generation. So hopefully the next generation will get the truth much quicker than ours. Although our generation, we really are the pioneers, to bring this knowledge, us who live in this world, and deal with people on a daily level. All of us, we're really pioneers for the next generation, and we have the responsibility to think that way. And Sue, you were saying that in the meeting, we have a huge responsibility as human beings. We have responsibility to act in the highest order, with the highest integrity, spirit, love, kindness, so that we become examples to the future. There's no point talking about any of these things if we can't even do it in our own homes. You see, this is why I say personal relationships. If you can handle your home, then you can handle the world. If you can't handle your home, how on earth are you going to handle the world? You make yourself a hypocrite. This is what my husband in my early days of practice said to me, and I'm so grateful. He was hard on me, thank God. He said, yeah, you're so nice to everybody outside. I'm going to call Swami such as gentle. He said, you're like a kid, I'm going to call your guru. I promise you did this. I'm going to pick up the phone, call your guru, and tell you how you just argued with me. It's so funny, children, right? In the beginning, no, please don't, because I really realized that I was doing something that was not correct. But then next year he threatened me the same way. I said, please do. I'll tell him exactly why I argued with you. No problems. Call him. Of course, it was a threat. But what I'm showing you here is how we evolve as human beings by growing ourselves, We evolve from childishness, from being defensive into a being that just sees things as they are. And when you need to be angry about something, like our master said, put anger in your pocket, then you show it, But it doesn't, it's not from a place of hate or being right or wrong. It's just, if this is wrong, if this is not right, it's not right in the sense that, if you throw a glass when you're angry on the floor, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to accept it as correct behavior. I'm going to tell you this behavior is not acceptable. And if you don't like I say that to you, then it's your problem, not mine. Do you see, having the strength of your convictions with love, and at the same time, you show that you are not going to take any nonsense, So there's almost, your behavior looks harsh, but you're not really harsh. You're just being totally truthful with great strength. Because if you're not with great strength, what happens? The next step is manipulation. People will start to manipulate you. And that's also not what we're here to be victims of manipulation. We're meant to be free as yogis. We're meant to be free. So a big problem today is lack of communication. You know that song, It's So Funny, We Don't Talk Anymore? I don't know the tune I got. That's brilliant. But that's the truth. Do I see people fall in love, they talk, they get engaged, and now I've been doing this work for nearly 30 years, and they talk, they chat every night, and 1 year, 2 years, they have kids, they don't talk. They stop talking. And this is the problem with most of the relationships, brothers, sisters, etc. Once you stop communicating, that's when the poison goes in. And it is poison. It is poison. And many times when I see couples or again, mother, daughter, father, son, whatever it is, father, mother, and they come and tell me all their problems again, and then I'll say, bring the other person with you. And reluctantly maybe they come. But it's the only way to solve the problem when they're both there, because to be neutral is really very important. And they tell each other things, and then the father is saying to the son, but why didn't you tell me this before? But Dad, you never asked me. Do you see? And they're both just like going back and forth, and I have to tell them, stop, listen to what you each are saying. You just stop talking. You both just stop talking. Talk. Be truthful. What upsets you about your son? That he's lazy, he's done da 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 da. You see, that son will say, you see, he's criticizing me again. No, he's not criticizing you. I asked him right here in front of you to be truthful. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are you lazy? Very gently. I said, no judgment. Absolutely no judgment. We're talking. We're trying to fix this. Help us along. Because I guess he's right. Okay, so what should you do? I guess I should try and get a job or something. And then I tell the father, what do you say? That's all I wanted to hear. At least you'll try. And then I said, now hug each other. And oh my God, then I get tears. And it's always tears, And that's so funny when that happens. And then I say, you see, when you cry like that, it means you have so much love for each other. You really do love each other. And it's all to do with not talking to each other. But you can talk, hi, did you have a good day? Yeah, I had a good day. What did you do today? Oh, I got the car here, da. I bought a dress. That's not talking. Talking is really talking about your emotions. Darling, I'm not happy with what you did today. It really upset me. The person will perk up. Why? What did I do to upset you? I had a couple, actually, been married for nearly 35 years. And the husband was quite dominant. You could see they had a good marriage, They really did love each other very much. But she was a little bit meek, a little weak. And sometimes in public, he didn't mean to, but he would make rude remarks like, oh, she doesn't know anything. Sometimes she's a bit thick. He didn't even think about it, but he'd been doing it over years. And of course, he would also praise her sometimes. Oh, my wife is brilliant. I think she's beautiful. He would do that too. But of course, we don't listen so much to the beautiful things. We hear the not so nice things, right? So, and she was a bit confused by this after so many years. So she came to me and she was crying her eyes out. I said, I can't take it anymore. You see, when it's a long time, the heart starts to feel in pain. As you start getting older, you just can't take it anymore. So I said, why didn't you tell him? Oh, but he has a big temper when I tell him. I said, no, you tell him. But you don't tell him the exact truth, what is bothering you. You'll tell him, oh, your nature is so forceful, you are judging him. But you won't tell him simply the truth. The truth is what he has said has hurt you tremendously. You start to dig at his personality. Oh, you're like this, you're always harsh. Wrong way. He's not going to hear you. So I said, so the next time it happened, I said, you're going to tell him so sweetly, but with great force. But you've got to communicate it. And she did. And she actually told him, they went to a party and he did something like that with their friends. So she kept quiet there. They came home and she said, I'm not happy with what you did tonight, but with great strength, I don't think I can share the same bed with you tonight. I'm going to sleep in the sofa. And he got shocked, What do you mean? What did I say? So you put me down in front of people. I am your wife of 35 years. I do not deserve this. And please leave me alone because I do not want to discuss it with you. I feel extremely hurt. And she went outside, came outside. I am so sorry. I didn't know I offended you. I just speak like that. Yeah, but you know what? You do it enough, and I just feel so much anger with you, and it hurts me. But I'm tired of shouting, so I rather just stay outside. And after that, He told her, he said, please, if I do it again, let me know. Do you see how simple communication is? It's so simple. Why don't we do it? You know, we don't do it with our friends when things hurt us about our friends, and we leave all these horrible little, daggers in our heart of anger and fear. So if somebody hurts you, yes, sometimes when telling them the truth, they do react in a bad way, but please try and say it as sweetly as possible. And I always say, choose the right time. Choose the right time. When the person is very relaxed, in the right kind of mood, that's when you communicate. Don't communicate when somebody's exhausted and had a really bad day. You won't get the reaction you want. So it's wisdom, and communicate who you are. And this to me is the greatest thing. Most of the time, we don't even know who we are. When we live with people, we become who they are. Much of the time, we forget our dreams, our visions, especially when you're bringing up children, you forget who you are. And it's important to talk about who you are, your dreams, what you'd like to achieve in your life. Talk about those things too. Talk about deeper issues in your relationships and your friendships. And the friendships become very beautiful and they flower beautifully. And that's how we communicate on a much, much deeper, more caring, more real communication. Okay. Finances. This is a big one. Money. This is a big one. Worry. All this worry will get you nowhere. If things are bad, they're bad. If times are rough, they are rough. Pull in, work, think of new ideas, be adventurous, think of things that you can do together, rather than blame somebody else for the financial situation. Think, what can we both do? Okay, things are really bad now. What can we both do to make things better? Okay, what can we do without? And actually I watched my daughter and my son-in-law do this a few years ago when the Spanish owned property, and they had a lovely office in Souvenirs which they built up. We all painted it together, their 3 children. They did really well, as you all know, real estate, right? And then we had the great fall, right? Yeah, the crisis, yeah. And it was the same year that my husband passed away, in 2009. Everything just went sour. And instead of, worrying about it, etc., the first thing they said is, okay, we have to cut. So, of course, offices cost a lot of money. So they had invested in a little apartment, and so they moved their work to that little apartment, and they had to pay a mortgage anyway, and they got rid of the big property that they'd worked so hard and made so beautiful in just space of 5 years, but no attachment. Okay, we can do something else, So while the bad years are here, let's see if we can get into insurance. At least we'll have bread and butter money. Do you know? But it was done without arguing, without fighting, and so easily. The worst job for them at that time, they had 3 staff, and was to lay them off. So they decided to speak to them and said, look, you stay here for as long as you find a job. We can't pay you full time, but we will pay you part time. Is that okay? So you won't be without money. And you see, to the highest good. And stop going out for dinner, stop doing this. But happily, do you see? It was, the family works together, they stay together. Their values have changed. It's not the money, it's life, it's joy, it's, it's living in the highest way you can with whatever you have. And now market's good again, they're too busy and they're looking for stuff. It's you see, life is a cycle. Do you see it? So if you know anybody who's really good, let me know. Life is a cycle. It's just a cycle. And if you can look at it as an adventure, rather than, oh my God, I'm broke, you just cut down. You live by your means, you know. You do what you can afford, and you find, you know, they love to play games at home, so they've got a stack of games, Monopoly and all the different games. Play games. You do other things for entertainment, you know. So that's how you do it with finances. I have seen too many great relationships suffer because of finances. And recently, you know, things like inheritance, oh my God. For me, that's the worst. I've seen so many cases where, you know, when the parents die, the parents work so hard all their lives, and they leave the inheritance, and how people fight over it. It's really, really, really breaks my heart. But if everybody was a yogi, then you'd work your way around it, you know? Because what you'd want is balance and harmony. You won't say, no, you take it all, because that's also not correct. But you will fight in the highest manner, in the most beautiful way, so it'll be fair for all. You know, you always find that one person wants more than everybody else, and this is where the problem starts, you know? So, I mean, I could talk about that for hours, because I've seen so many of those kind of cases in my life. And I can also say that, you know, when you are strong, but at the same time refuse to fall into war in the most aggressive manner, but get into war in the most peaceful manner, the people who do that eventually, in time, do win the battle. I have seen it again and again. But if they go ahead with the inheritance and they fight, it can last for years. Oh, years and years and years. And for what? The poor parents. You want their kids to enjoy it all, wouldn't they? I mean, as a parent, wouldn't you? Rather than to fight over what you worked so hard for all your life. You don't want your children to fight over that. So I always ask them to use that argument, you know, whoever comes to see me when they have sibling problems, ask them to think about their parents. What would they have wanted? They want the kids to all fall apart. Which mother or father wants that? None. So, finances.